Hello, and welcome to the tutorial on how to use OpenRocket. First, we'd want to go to the website to download OpenRocket. So open up your internet browser and type in OpenRocket. Here you'll see openrocket.info, and it's the OpenRocket simulator. Click on the link, and you'll be brought up to this. And as long as you see this symbol right here, that's the OpenRocket icon. And then you'll hit download. I'm not going to download it because I already have it on my laptop, so I'll skip the downloading part. One major thing that is crucial to know is make sure you write down or at least know which folder your OpenRocket file is downloaded to, because later when importing motors, the file location will need to be known. Also, if you forget, uh, video 2 will have a little bit about how to find the thrust curve file, which is inside of the OpenRocket file. So no worries if you forget. So after having the software downloaded, we can just open up the program. So since I already have the program, I'm going to do that now. And then upon opening the program, you should see either your last project that was loaded in OpenRocket or a blank project screen like this. So here we have nothing in our schematic screen or where our rocket will be built and put together down here. Up here on the left is our components of the rocket. So here we have the rocket right now, and then we have the sustainer. And then if you want to add a new stage, just hit new stage, and then we'll have a booster stage. And then we could just keep on adding multiple stages if we're a multi-stage rocket. But USLI, we are a one-stage rocket, so there we go. And so from here, you could either do two things. You could either look into the wiki or the box for 2022, 2023, the OpenRocket files for that year's team, or our team. Or you can even go into previous year's team's OpenRocket files and then modify those files to what next year's team or this year's team's mission criteria are. Or you could build one from scratch. The choice is yours, of course. It might be faster to take another year's rocket and then put in your own dimensions and everything rather than building it from scratch. But again, up to the user. Now, if one would like to build a rocket from scratch, there are different options that can be seen in this part of the screen. We have a nose cone, we have body tube, transitions, all the fins, launch lugs, launch fin or tube fins, inner tube coupler, centering ring, bulkhead, engine block, parachute, streamer, shock cord, and then mass components. So first off, I like to start off with the nose cone. So starting from the left side of the rocket all the way to the right. So here we're going to have the sustainer, the rocket, sustainer, nose cone. Oh, my bad. So rocket, sustainer, we got the nose cone. And then I'm going to essentially mimic DX3, which is one of the L1 rockets, which can also be used as an L2 rocket. There's also a L1 guide, which goes over the DX3. So that has a 16.5 ogive nose cone. Oh, that's the nose parameter. Change that to 1. It has a 16.5 length. And the base diameter is 4 inches. And then wall thickness is about 0.064. And then we're going to say that is fiberglass, regular paint. So we have our nose cone, and then we can also do a body tube, which will just get connected to the nose cone. And then we're going to do half of a DX3 body tube, or the whole body tube, because the DX3 splits into two, has a separation point, which comes with a coupler, but we're just saying that we don't have a coupler. So here it's 33.25 inches, and then a 4-inch outer diameter as well. And then we'll let the OpenRocket say the inner diameter. What I would do if I were to have the DX3 in hand, I would take some calipers or a measuring device and just measure the thickness right here and just put that right in here. And then that will help you get your inner diameter as well. And then the DX3 is cardboard. There's also a fiberglass option. And then next, we're going to go to click on the body tube. So you can either click on the body tube here like I just did, or we could click over here on the body tube itself. So it's up to you. You could click down here. Double click will bring up these menus. But next, I'm going to do trapezoidal fins. You could do elliptical, you could do freeform. The difference between these is trapezoidals will help you either create trapezoidal fins, as I said, square fins, or clip delta fins. And then elliptical fins are it's exactly what this figure looks like. They're just rounded fins. There will be a lot of papers when you do your research that say elliptical fins are the best fins, theoretically, but there's also some papers that say in practice it's a different story. Of course, every user do your own research and evaluate what you think would be the best. Freeform, so this is best for if you have your fins mapped out and you can essentially place those map values into here. It is always best to try and get as close to the actual values of dimensions and weight as possible in order to get accurate readings. So I recommend freeform because you'd have to measure out your fin as well as get the thickness of your fin and weigh it out. It'll give you the most accurate calculations, but we're just going to go with trapezoidal for now. And the DX3 comes with 3 fins usually, but I'm going to go with 4. And then I'm going to set the root chord to about 3.25 inches since we have a 4-inch body. And then I'm going to put the tip chord to 2.75 inches. I'm going to set the height to 3 inches. And then the sweep length, I'm going to put about 1.48 inches. Oh, we could do 1.5. And then the sweep angle, we're just going to leave it at the 26.6 that it's left it at. So what are these? What is the root chord? So root chord is referring to this bottom base right here, the point of contact that's touching the rocket. The tip chord is referring to the opposite end, the point of contact that's going to be touching the flow of the air or flow of the fluid that it's flowing through. And then the sweep length is the other surface that's going to be hitting the air. So the long surface that connects the body to the tip chord. And then the sweep angle is the angle that the sweep length makes with the body right here. And we can see that because if I were to change the sweep angle, if I were to put it to 0, it essentially creates a 90 degree. So this is their 0 degree, quote unquote. And here we can see with this rocket over here on the right, our stability is 1.93, which is actually really good. As long as we're above 1, our rocket will be stable throughout the whole flight. And so what is stability? Well, stability is simply when your center of gravity is behind, or your center of pressure is behind your center of gravity. And you always want this because if your center of pressure is ahead of your center of gravity, your rocket will not fly straight, it will fly in a chaotic manner. Also, I always recommend measuring the center of gravity on the field after you've assembled the rocket, or even in the lab after you have all the components together, except for don't assemble the motor in the lab, assemble it in the field. And stick the motor hardware inside the rocket, put everything that you're going to do, like if you're out on the field in the lab, except for the motor as mentioned, and then take a string and wrap it around the body tube of the rocket and then wait until it can hang from the string. So just move it from like right to left gradually And once the rocket can hang, that's your center of gravity, like your actual center of gravity. And then that should help you gauge on where your center of pressure should go. There's also a different method to calculate your center of pressure, which is using what's called a cardboard cutout method. Essentially, what you do is you get your rocket and you get a piece of cardboard behind it. So imagine this whole white background is cardboard. You'd trace your rocket on the piece of cardboard, and then you'd find where your moment that comes out from different forces that would act on the rocket, and that would essentially be your center of pressure. It's a very interesting method. I would recommend Googling it because we didn't use the cardboard cutout method, but I did learn it when I was doing my L2 exam. Moving forward, so let's say you made a rocket, but it wasn't stable 1.93. Cool things about OpenRocket, there's a couple tools up here. We can actually do rocket optimization. And here, rocket optimization, what you can do is, let's say you want to, you feel comfortable with it changing the diameter of the nose cone, length of the nose cone, and let's say thickness of the nose cone, but you want to keep your shape parameter. And let's say for the body tube, you're fine with it changing the length as well and the thickness. And then the fins, let's say you can switch let's say the tip cord, the rear cord. But you can't switch anything else. And then I'll turn this off, the required stability, because we're going to target stability. So I'll say stability in calibers, and then seek value of, and then let's say I want to seek a value of 2. And then, I don't have any simulated motors. So let me see if I can optimize without any simulated motors. So here, actually I can. Sweet. So I got a caliber of 2, but we can see that the fins are a unique shape. But yeah, so that's how this optimization works inside of OpenRocket. You can pick whatever you want. You can optimize it for altitude, ground hit speed, landing distance, maximum velocity, total flight time, and then velocity at parachute deployment. And then you could either do a maximum value, minimum value, or seek a value like I just did right here, where I plug in the value that I desire. And this can help a lot, especially because for the USLI competition, you have a lot of parameters that you have to meet. For example, you have a certain radius that you have to land in, so that's a drift. Also, you have 90 seconds from apogee to hitting the ground. So, I mean, you could optimize that literally right in here if you'd like. You optimize your parachutes for that. And then stability, actually, you have to have above a 2.0 caliber of stability. So, I mean, here you could do that. What I would recommend is get a rough draft of your rocket, check your stability or your parameters that you that are needed by the competition, run them through the optimizer, apply the optimization, and then after that, tinker with the optimization to something that will provide mission success. Because sometimes the optimization, just like those fins that were shown, they're a little bit weird, a little bit wonky. I don't know if I'd trust those fins personally, but to each their own. But yeah, that's what I would recommend doing. Going back to the tools, we can also see that there's a component analysis, and this actually helps with providing rough estimates for your hand calculations that you do for center of gravity, center of pressure, and your mass. And then also there's a drag characteristics here, and you'll have a total coefficient of drag. You'll have your friction coefficient of drag, your base and your pressure drags as well. You will have to calculate the coefficient of drag when you get into your full scale. So these values will also help you to estimate if your hand calculations are in the right direction or not. And then if you get into fin canting, so that's where you actually tilt these fins in a manner to create your launch vehicle to start spinning in flight, you will have to worry about roll dampening, as well as essentially you're going to have some harmonics going on with your rocket, which could cause structural instability if your natural frequency is met of your material. And that is all that I wanted to cover in video 1 about OpenRocket. Video 2, we will be talking about the components that weren't covered. So we'll get into a little bit of the bulkheads, the motor tubes, and putting a motor into the rocket, as well as adding the parachutes and everything. And we'll also get into how to import motors that aren't in the motor database already.